Okay, so next question. How important is it to have a digital portfolio or online presence linked to my CV? So talking about LinkedIn and things like that here.
Yeah, I'd say it's critical, to be honest. I'd say that's as important as your CV.
Hmm.
Um, so you know, it used to be that if you wanted to buy something, the first thing you'd do is go to the website of that company,
Hmm.
and have a look.
Yeah.
And I feel like people need to look at LinkedIn like that.
Hmm.
So a CV might spark your interest, and especially in a competitive market, and especially when you're applying for jobs on LinkedIn,
Hmm.
having a strong LinkedIn presence is absolutely key. Again, this will be in, there's a scale, isn't there, on there. So, for example, like I work with a lot of university graduates, and the first thing that I speak to them about is getting, a strong LinkedIn profile, and we talk about like a personal branding piece, like how do you want to be seen,
Uh-huh.
you know. So that's looking at like the cadence, like how often you post on LinkedIn and what types of things you post about. I do think it's just really important that you don't have to be one of these like thought leaders, if you will, like, because I know that people find the whole LinkedIn thing like a little bit cringy.
Hmm.
Um, but if you're in an industry, let's say, I don't know, we'll go with AI because it's
Hmm.
everywhere. You want to be in AI, you are in AI, and there's things coming out all the time from Forbes, Harvard, like loads of credible sources. Even just posting about those things and just letting people know that you're kind of like in the loop with the industry and you keep up to
Yeah.
date
Yeah.
is very helpful. And that doesn't, well, for me personally, I'm really interested in business as a general subject, business
Hmm.
growth and where it's going. So for me, I listen to a lot of podcasts and I read a lot of articles genuinely. And I think that if you're an individual who is genuinely passionate about the industry that they are in or want to work in, then actually it's not that much work.
No.
It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
actually. So that's, yeah. And then when, especially for myself as a recruiter, if I then look on someone's LinkedIn and they clearly are, in this industry and they're interested genuinely, then
Yeah.
that speaks volumes to me about the kind of attitude they're going to bring to that position. I
Yes.
think
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
it builds that sincerity and that credibility. Silly things like make sure that you've got a good profile picture, and by good I mean just professional.
Hmm.
People can see your face, smiling,
Hmm.
look approachable. I know again it sounds silly, but think about it as you're going into a shop. If someone's stood behind the counter and they look a bit dull, you're not going to approach them. So literally think of it as like
Just
you
on
are.
that,
Yes.
what's better than a nice looking sort of, not, I don't want to say selfie, but something that looks like you're a human being,
Yeah.
or a corporate sort of, like it was shot for the corporate
Yeah.
magazine, um, blurred background or like white background sort of picture. You know that type of mean. So on one hand, you've got super corporate, talking head sort of style, and the other one
Yeah.
it's like, no, this it's a nice picture, but I can
Yeah.
tell that this person's a person with a
Yeah.
family and kids or
Yeah.
whatever it is. Which two do you think?
Um, I would say the latter, to be honest. Yeah, I think having just something that tells a little bit about your personality. It doesn't. Even if you're out having a walk and you manage to get a nice picture, like
Mm,
I say, I wouldn't have one like stood on a mountain where you can just see your body. You want to be able to see your face like
yes.
clearly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I prefer those types of pictures. Corporate pictures definitely do have a place.
Hmm.
100%. The reason that I say about having a more like humanized profile picture is because like a lot of data and a lot of studies show now, and I've definitely seen like a change, that people are more attracted to people rather than an image of
Yeah.
somebody.
Right.
Um, so we could even go like as granular as looking at like influencers. Influencers used to be these kind of like really high flying, this, that, and the other. Nowadays, we're looking at like people just getting ready for work and going doing the commute to London and things like that because it's things we resonate with, it's things that speak to us.
Yes.
And so kind of following that change yeah, I'd definitely say having a friendlier profile picture is
Okay.
better. I know we've spoken a lot on that, but I do think it's really key. Like I say, it's a first impression, and yeah.
I've got that. That's great. You've answered my question there. I've got another question though about the LinkedIn. So, um, there's two aspects of it, or maybe there's more. Let me know. But I think having a nice profile on your LinkedIn and it tells your skills and what you've done with not what you've done, but what you've achieved
Yeah.
on the LinkedIn. And then there's also the posting aspect of it.
Mm.
So the posting is going to get you out, get your name and your image out there as you post. People are going to find you more as you're posting, and you're also showing people that you're interested in and on top of the information in your craft. So
Yeah.
the first question is there any other element to it that I've missed there? And the second question is how often and how much would you say people need to post?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Those are good questions. I mean, another thing that you could do, I suppose, is if you're interested in a company or something like that, follow them, repost their stuff, comment on their posts,
Yeah.
even add insight. If you can add insight to something, then that's great, and it's a good way of building relationships. So years ago, well, a couple of years ago, there was a company that I was really interested in working for on a consultancy basis. I just really liked their culture and the way that they ran their company based on their LinkedIn. And I'd like engaged with a few of their posts that genuinely stood out to me. And then I reached out to the director and just said, look, I've followed you for a bit and I really like what you do. Is there any chance we could have a discussion?
Mm-hmm.
And just by having that, I felt so comfortable reaching out. It felt so sincere.
Mm-hmm.
So I would definitely say to anybody, just do that. Just really, and it helps keep your eyes on the prize as well, because you might think, oh, I'm not good enough to work at blah blah blah. I don't have the experience to work at da. But if you kind of grow that relationship, it's a really good way of growing your network, which is another buzzword that I really don't like, but it's true.
Yeah.
And you can form these really natural relationships, and then all of a sudden, you can easily get referred across to somebody. Like, oh yeah, she comments on that a lot, or I've spoken to her, she's a nice girl, like that sort of thing, or she's impressive. This is her background, and before you know it, you're kind of naturally building this around you.
Yeah, that makes complete sense, because one of the things we say is you need to research the company.
Yeah.
And that's not just about researching the company to know how to sell yourself to them, but to understand what that company is about, what their culture is about, what they're trying to do in the world, and do you actually want to work there? And the thing is that if you're engaging on LinkedIn and keeping up with your craft and sending out posts and reading other people's posts and getting an idea of these different companies, you're getting a little step closer to what it might actually be like to work for that
Exactly.
company, because you're seeing the staff members posting, and then when it comes to knowing that is the company that you want to go for, you feel more confident about it because you understand that company a bit better and the people that are in that company and what they're talking about and what they're doing. And then secondly, you've already built up that knowledge, so when it comes to writing your resume for that company, you've got a wealth of information to draw on, and it just becomes all very natural, doesn't it? I want to work for you because I agree with your core values of this, and I understand that you're having these particular this is your position in the market, and these are the strategies that you've got and the problems that you've got, and this is where I feel I can fit in, and everything just feels very genuine around that. So I
especially
like
when you
that.
get to interviewing, once you get to interviewing as well, that will continue to show through.
Yeah.
By building that really solid base online, which is why I said it's critical to have this online, then it naturally you could write a good cover letter, and you can update your CV, and then you get to interviewing stage and you feel very comfortable and confident going in there. It's almost familiar. So yeah, it's critical. I can't emphasize it's just it's a free resource, and it gives you so much information.
There's one devil's advocate I will say about this though, and it's an unfortunate thing about psychology basically, is if there's a company that you have identified as that is the company I want to work for, and I feel like I've been chatting to replying to the staff's posts and everything, you can build it up in your head, and then when it comes to actually applying or maybe getting into an interview, all of your hopes are pinned on this particular position, and sometimes that can really stress us out, and we can
Yeah.
end up going into an interview and not doing as well as we would have done if we were a bit more nonchalant about it in a way.
Yeah, true.
So it's a tricky one, that one.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily recommend like focusing on one company, maybe a few companies. But yeah, I think you're exactly right. Like having your heart set on one. It's like applying for uni, isn't it? You get your top three, but you know your top one, and
Yeah.
that's what you're aiming for. So no, you're completely right. But unfortunately, like I think it is just one of those things. But you are giving yourself the best chance. And I speak a lot about interview skills and things. And if it is the case, like you've just said, being a bit vulnerable at the beginning and saying, this means so much to me, and I just hope I perform as well as I want to in this interview, and I hope my nerves don't get the better of me. Being that transparent and vulnerable at the start of an interview, if that is the case, it wouldn't hurt.
Yeah. It has to be genuine, but I
Of course,
get what you're
of
saying.
course.
Yeah, that is a good thing to let them know that you really want to work here and
Yeah,
you're nervous.
yeah.
Okay.